Hey guys, it's God Bars here, the self-proclaimed hip-hop historian, and this is the 181st episode of my series, where I grab a vinyl from my collection, talk about why I love it, what influence it has, and what its place is in the grand scheme of hip-hop. So I'm not sure if there's any other album I've covered on here quite like So the Flies Don't Come. I really don't even know where to start in terms of expressing my love for this thing. I talked about the Billy Woods album Today I Wrote Nothing way back in my first 15 videos or so. And I've mentioned many times how my two favorite albums in modern hip hop, without a shadow of a doubt, are that one and Milo's So the Flies Don't Come. You may not be too familiar with Milo if you're a more recent underground fan, but that's probably because he doesn't release music under that name anymore, with his current moniker being R.A.P. Ferreira, which he's also released some stellar projects underneath. It was a bit tricky when trying to decide if I should title this video with that name, or if I should keep it as what he was formerly known as, but I chose to leave it as Milo, as that's what it still is on most streaming platforms. It isn't one of those artists who changed their name and then made it so all the projects they already released now fall under that. It's more like he ended the Milo chapter of his career and brought in a new identity. For the longest time, I've said how that one Billy Woods LP is bar none my favorite when it comes to any project released after 2010, but I actually have recently come to the realization that I might slightly prefer this one. Though I think they're both so flawless and endlessly enjoyable that it's almost pointless comparing them. However, as neck and neck as these two picks are for me, they actually came out the same year. And as much as I love Kendrick's To Pimp a Butterfly and honestly a good amount of the releases from 2015, for me, So the Flies Don't Come actually slightly edges that one as the better project, which I know is a take nobody will agree with me on. It's definitely biased to a degree, but I don't know if there's another album in music period that I first heard nearly a decade ago, yet still remember that day so vividly as if it was yesterday. As you could probably guess by the format of this channel in general, I used to watch The Needle Drop almost religiously in high school, and I'm sure there's many artists I love that he turned me on to, but it's kinda hard to remember, though I'm pretty sure of at least a handful of artists he introduced me to, like Shabazz Palaces, Ka, Quelle Chris, or even Sufjan Stevens. Another artist with a top tier 2015 release that impacted me endlessly, but I would be doing a disservice if I didn't mention that Anthony was the one who introduced me to this artist and album, which would ultimately lead me down the wormhole of Hellfire Club artists like Open Mike Eagle or Bus Driver, both of whom have been featured on the page before. For some reason, I just have a very clear memory of being in my third or fourth period math class in sophomore or maybe junior year of high school and looking through YouTube, coming across the newest Fantano review and giving it a watch. I'm sure his positive words for the project didn't hurt, but for me it really came down to, oh shit, I've never heard of this rapper before, but that album art is so cool, I wonder if it's hip hop. Then once I actually watched the video and saw it was, I went and listened to it right there in class. It's crazy how much the musical experiences that really meant something can stick with you, because there was nothing about that day or what I was doing that made it memorable. It solely came down to the fact I was provided an audible journey unlike anything I'd ever heard, or likely will ever hear again. This project was also my introduction to a modern titan of underground production, Kenny Siegel, who coincidentally would do a number of collaborations with Billy Woods, like 2019's Hiding Places or Maps just last year. He's a giant part of what makes this album so rich and aesthetically pleasing, as his production ranges from beautiful and lush to more dusty and understated. But moreover, it perfectly matches the winding tapestry of lyricism Milo paints here. He's an artist I've been listening to religiously for so long that his style doesn't really sound weird or difficult to me, but I'd have to remember how it probably comes off to someone who's never heard of the dude. And in that aspect, I personally always likened him to Aesop Rock, not really in vocal tone, style, or even execution, but more in the way that they are both extremely coded, dense, and at times lyrically abstract writers, where it's almost inevitable that you either love them or hate them. It's sort of that same separation many have with MF Doom, who, like many of his contemporaries, was one of, if not the single biggest influence on Milo, and similarly sees people either enjoying the complexity and find getting to break these lines down as a reward, or they're just somebody who slaps it with the label of not having any meaning and being random because something that they said doesn't make sense or register personally with them. Sadly, most of those people seem to be adamant in not learning or growing, as more often than not, they just double down on the phrase not having any actual meaning, even though there's countless people online who have broken down the references and metaphors and show none of it is random. However, I don't even think you need that necessarily. As for me personally, I think it's a bonus that I can revisit So the Flies Don't Come for quite literally the 100th time and still pick up new things every single listen. His spoken word-esque flow paired with the unique imagery might turn some potential listeners away, but if you're the type of person who's like me where you think the more creative and different the better, I would definitely recommend giving this one a try. The vibe and energy these songs create are almost indescribable, but they have this very warm, yet nocturnal and nostalgic quality, to the point it really isn't a difficult or challenging listen at all if you can get used to the style that he utilizes. The sounds are full of feeling, and as always, Kenny gave the engineering and mixing the perfect treatment. But lyrically, I have to share some of the lines to come off So the Flies Don't Come, just to give you a sense of Milo's idiosyncratic writing style. Starting with the track that opens this classic up, Rabble Rouse. This is a pretty short and sweet track that gets right to the point, with Milo stating, "They couldn't predicate upon a precipice. Bet I feel like Perseus, but less merciful. I'm thirstiest, most of all impervious. The wordsmith gets knee deeper. Beleaguered, his burdens at will summon purpose. I'm weaker when the light is on. Portion of the pie chart I share with tweakers wearing nylon. I might build you a worthwhile fortress with borrowed resources. At the front door, we painted a mural of the meek tortoise. World picturing, place making, gatekeeping, do my best scheming in the late evening. I write poems and build suits of armor for suicide note authors. The Melungeon porch monkey accompaniment got caught wondering out loud again. You scrawled the word discursive in cursive and called yourself subversive. We all belly laughed. I wrote this rap from Mike Eagle's helipad. Now watch me dance, watch me dance. Another key aspect of the background to this LP was Milo's temporary relocation to Los Angeles to be closer to the underground art rap scene that kind of birthed him. But he subsequently ends up feeling out of place, and like the move wasn't the fresh new start he had anticipated and had hoped it would be. But back to the bars, I have to share one more little section I've always loved, which is where Rory gives us the killer verse. It's him who wrote the Tao of the Pessimist, as thespians maneuver through the now and its messiness. I've grown weary of their kindnesses, the addled Zen scientist with the inwardly infinite capacity for mindfulness. This is a kite shield to protect you from complacency. I stand adjacent to the vagrancy, no vacancy. Out in the streets with palms and guns, the argo of the ergonauts. It's enough to send kisses down your arm like Gomez, how he dazzle with the baffle gab. Sisyphus surmounts the aggro crag, cantillating grace, and they can't keep my pace. While everything instrumentally is handled by Kenny Siegel, there's a relatively small but amazing group of featured artists, all of which pull their own weight here. These include a number of legends, both older and newer, starting with Hemlock Ernst, Micah 9 of Freestyle Fellowship, Elucid of Armand Hammer, and of course Open Mike Eagle. For honorable mentions on this personal favorite, I'd probably choose songs like Reanimist, An Encyclopedia, Going No Place, True Nen, and a song about a ray gun, aka an ode to Driver. When it comes down to the three tracks I enjoy and return to the most, they would definitely have to be Souvenir, Zen Scientist, and Napping Under the Echo Tree. Thank you for watching my 181st video. Next up, we have another album I played religiously in high school. So look out for that one, and if you enjoyed, be sure to like, subscribe, and let me know what your favorite songs off this underground masterpiece are. Don't forget to have a great day, and I'll see you next time, okay? All left.
Who would do such a thing? Look. Look, I stand in the flame of a feeling we call pain. Father's Day mug, little hand shaped of clay. Carrier planes flew overhead in pockets.